Everyone has heard of Matthew McConaughey, but what could he possibly be teaching that has everyone raving online? At first, we'd think there's not much to relate to when comparing lives with an A-list actor, but it turns out that's not how it goes. That's why today we're diving into his own memoir, Greenlights. Lucky for you, we read it so you don't have to, and today you'll get the full summary with the top 5 lessons, because it's not just about reading, but putting it into action. As Matthew states, everyone likes the green lights, but life is filled with a combination of both red and green. Thanks to the red lights we face, like pain, sickness, and recessions, we become more grateful when encountering green lights. We often don't realize that with patience and insight, every red light eventually turns into a green light. And before you know it, we're driving off, passing green lights, only to look back in the rearview mirror at those red lights you thought you'd never overcome. For Matthew, a huge red light was the year he spent living abroad in Australia, where, to his surprise, ended up being in a small town rather than staying in Sydney as he expected. Well, he remembers his time there being alone and depressed. Now he can look back and be grateful for that period that taught him so much about discovering himself, which we'll jump into during lesson number 4. Lesson 1. What if next time you were sitting at a red light, you turned your focus towards getting to the green light rather than just soaking in the bad times? This spirit of gratitude before good things happen to us takes us to lesson 2, which Matthew describes with this quote from the book. The arrow doesn't seek the target draws the arrow. Sometimes we don't need to make things happen. After confronting his dad about leaving law school to go to film school, Matthew luckily just happened to be introduced to a producer through his friend bartending at a local hotel. This producer later on offered him a role in the movie Dazed and Confused. Many times we are so focused on making everything happen for ourselves that we miss out on the coincidences or serendipitous moments right in front of us. This happened again to Matthew after realizing his next goal in life was to build a family. For a while, he had been searching for a partner, and until he stopped his search, she found him. And that's not the only thing that found Matthew. After his role in the movie A Time to Kill, success basically stumbled upon him overnight. And you might be like Matthew and be questioning whether it's just luck that success found you, or was it meant to happen because you did the work to get yourself to be in that position. But the main lesson here is to focus on being present during that green light. Oftentimes, success can come with other obstacles, as it did for Matthew. But ask yourself, when was the last time you celebrated your wins, both big and small? Or could it be that you're just too distracted to even realize you're already living what you once only dreamt about? Thankfully, the 4th lesson from Greenlights makes us realize the importance of self-discovery and adaptability. When Matthew found himself isolated in Australia, the surplus of time to look inward showed him what he actually valued, yet was too busy to see back at home. Similarly, this happened again when Matthew had to look inward and make the tough call to reject any future rom-com roles, knowing he would have no job for some time, but hoping this decision would bring him more reward in the future. Sometimes we have to leave what we know to find out what we know. Whether it's making a tough decision to leave a job where you no longer feel fulfilled, or packing up your bags to travel to new locations, saying no is also saying yes in the long run. Last but not least, as Matthew's dad used to say, lesson 5 is to stop half-assing it. Those were his exact words as Matthew hit him with the news that he'd be dropping law school to enter film school. To Matthew, those words were all he needed to have a green light. Use that as your reminder next time you're caught up in the decision of whether to go this way or that way. If you choose this, you have to go all in and be ready to drive through both red and hopefully many more green lights. If you have someone in mind who needs to hear this, send them this link. And if this episode left you hungry to know more, the book link is down below in the description.